When I first saw the idea of genetic fortune telling, I first thought of the beginning of the 1997 movie Gattaca, where the protagonist, Vincent Freeman, was born with an invalid genetic makeup, meaning his DNA report said he was likely to develop several diseases and it gauged his lifespan to be only 30 years. I thought of this because, with genetic fortune telling, at birth, each person would receive a report card of possible diseases and cancers that could develop throughout their lifetime, and even possible performances on IQ tests. First, I will discuss the development and idea behind this process. Secondly, I will discuss what you can learn from the test. And finally, I will discuss the benefits and setbacks this innovation could create. This all started with a young cardiologist, Amit Kira, when he was constructing a polygenic score at the Broad Institute in Cambridge, Massachusetts. This is a quote from Kira. Where I see this going is that at a young age, you'll basically get a report card and it will say, for these 10 diseases, here's your score. You are in the, you are in the 90th percentile for heart disease, 50th for breast cancer, and the lowest 10% for diabetes. It has been found by Kira that the new scores can now identify as much risk for disease as the rare genetic flaws that have preoccupied physicians until now. These tests weren't available last year, according to an MIT article written by Antonio Rodriguez in 2018. A commercial test was actually launched in September 2017 by Myrid Genetics, an American molecular diagnostic company based in Salt Lake City, Utah. And that test can actually estimate breast cancer chances, but only for women of European descent. There are also doctors in California that are developing an iPhone app that can foretell your risk of coronary artery disease after you send them a simple sample of your DNA. A coworker of Kira's, who goes by the name of Sakar Kathrasam, who is a gene hunter also at the Broad Institute in Cambridge, Massachusetts, said that his team discovered that the people that predicted to have the very highest risk of coronary artery disease, which was the top 2.5%, had 4 times the average chance of developing clogged arteries. There's a chance that Kathrasam would launch an app or sell his statistical models to a diagnostics company, but he has then said his models quite aren't ready for that. Kathrasam believes genome scores would identify about 8 times as many people at high risk for heart disease. Now that you know the process behind the idea, here's what you can learn after taking the test. According to the National Human Genome Research Institute, genetic tests can be difficult to understand. However, specialists like geneticists and genetic counselors can help explain what results might mean to you and your family. This test will be able to tell you gene changes that could be passed on to children, diagnose and determine the severity of some diseases, and guide doctors in deciding on the best medicine or treatment to use for certain individuals. Along with that, you can find out detailed information on your DNA, which is shared with other family members, and sometimes a genetic test result may have implications for blood relatives of the person who had the same testing done. Getting tested will always be voluntary, but might be recommended by a doctor. Doctors might suggest a genetic test if patients or their families have a certain pattern of disease. Other than a doctor's recommendation, the testing can be done to see what possible diseases one carries and could possibly give to any offspring. Now that you know the process and possibilities of the test itself, here are some of the benefits and setbacks of the overall outcome. Some benefits are more obvious, whereas others are more complicated and difficult to understand. The first reasonable benefit would be in the medical field. With this genome testing, it would be easier to find cures and create medicines for specific mutations in our DNA strands. Another reasonable benefit would be for us as people to see what possible diseases we would be susceptible to and possibly prevent with any dietary restrictions, a healthier lifestyle, and screening for those specific diseases. On the other hand, these tests won't be completely accurate. Say in about 10 to 15 years, you have a child and their report card were to say 90th percentile for breast cancer. You would be somewhat waiting a period of time for your child to be officially diagnosed with breast cancer when actually they may end up not having breast cancer at all or even developing it at all throughout their lifetime. And then after that, you have gone your whole life worrying about when they will be diagnosed. Now that I have provided you with information on the newest innovation of genetic fortune telling, you have learned the development and process, the outcomes of the genome tests, as well as the benefits and setbacks. Genetic fortune telling could be an amazing discovery medically, but might be more nerve wracking than helpful for families. If you have the choice to take this test personally, would you take it, knowing you may or may not be shown that you have a gene mutation and it may have the ability to affect your life from then on out?